We'll start with your single. It's your very first single is Not Yourself, right? Correct?
Yeah, that's the one that got me the most attention to date.
Okay, so can you talk a little bit about it? Tell us the inspiration behind the song.
Knowledge Yourself, it's a song I did with Dr.Dre and Batson. It's a true story, it's just about my life. Pretty much a lot of people when they hear my writing, they say it's very, surreal and everything, but what people don't really realize is that's just my past, it's my childhood. Starts out, I got my hand on the ass of a black nine. I ain't trying to take your life, I'm trying to take mine. And a lot of people don't realize that that really happened to me. I really got to a point in my life, where I tried to kill myself. And I can remember having a 9mm in my mouth, sitting in the bathroom, bawling. And this is after a time of, listen to the whole song and you'll see the whole story. But like I grew up with an interesting childhood. My mother kidnapped me and my brother when I was younger. And she suffered from manic depression, schizophrenia, a bunch of other mental illnesses. She never got help. So what actually happened is she had hearing voices forced her to take me and my brother out of our home and feel like we had to run somewhere. So from the period of 8 to 10, there was always episodes of her picking me and my brother up and leaving. I would miss school, I would come back and kids in class would be like, another funeral, Medina? Like, you can't have 5 funerals in 1 year. And it fucked me up for a while, like growing up, seeing that, living in shelters, I've seen it all. We slept, I can remember sleeping in a bus terminal so long that when the authorities came and realized that we were actually living there, I had newspaper prints on the back of my hoodie, It was embarrassing. My mother was committed to a mental institution for trying to sell my younger brother. So, with all that said, the song Knowledge Yourself, how it came about, my man Fernando, he was my manager at the time. He took me to Dre, he took me to Batson, and Mark works with Dre. Fernando just, he was the reason why I got linked up with Dre in the first place. And that led to more writing. I did other songs with them, and I worked with Timberland, I worked with Polo. I did a song called The Number Man. And I just told my story. Just my life.
This was a song that was recorded some time ago.
Yeah, it was actually, it was recorded a few years ago. And it's funny because now it's like, people always tell me, my man, always tell me, he's like, you're ahead of your time. I never understood what that meant because I was writing from my heart, like a lot of that shit was more so therapeutic for me than for any type of radio or internet. But I would get emails and I would get a lot of attention from particularly from women, and that story that I told through my, ups and downs forced or helped other people. I've gotten emails from women that were raped, dudes that also tried to commit suicide, women that were abused. And I just think it's a void that I felt was missing. I didn't do it out of any kind of strategy. It was more so out of my own disappointment and my own fuck-ups and my own failures, I did a lot of dumb shit growing up because of that, I've been through the whole street. I'm from Newark, New Jersey, so I've seen everything, the drugs, my uncle sold crack. I can remember feds kicking in the door at 13 years old, so I already know about that lifestyle, and the turning point for me, I guess, was having that backdrop, having it really affect you, and still having to be, a man, and being a black man in the inner city where cops don't really fuck with you like that, and you still gotta survive. I should be dead, I should be in jail, in prison somewhere. I shouldn't be in the position that I'm in now. So a lot of people look to me as a source of inspiration, but they don't really realize that everything that I say in my music and everything that I've said up to this point was true. And so when I started, I didn't know much about the industry as far as the politics and the bullshit that goes on in it. So when I told my story, people were looking at it like it was just like it was like a source of entertainment, and it frustrated me for a long time because it was like, nah, motherfucker, I went through that shit. Do you understand what it's like to fucking want to die? You know, to want to kill yourself? Like, that's a real emotion, you know? So I think people feel that in the record.